Hey guys, what's up? So today in this video we are going to be looking at the game played between Anatoly Karpov and Garry Kasparov. So this game was played back in 1985 during the World Chess Championship match in Moscow, Russia. So let's get started with the game. So now we have e4 by Anatoly Karpov and c5 by Garry Kasparov. So this is the Sicilian defense against the king's pawn opening. So now we have knight to f3, basically developing a piece, and now we have e6. So this is the e6 variation of the Sicilian defense, and now we have d4, which translates to the open Sicilian defense in case if black is going to be taking the pawn on d4. So now we have pawn takes d4, so it's confirmed that it is the open Sicilian defense, and now we have knight takes d4 and we see knight to c6, basically attacking this knight on d4, and now we have knight to b5, threatening knight to d6 in the next move if black is not so careful about it. So black takes his turn to be safe by playing d6, and now this d6 move basically stops this knight from coming to d6, because this bishop on f8 and the queen on d6, the queen on d8 is protecting the d6 pawn. So now we have c4, and now the c4 move basically puts much more protection to this d5 square and the d5 and the b5 knight as well. So now we have knight to f6, basically attacking the pawn on e4, and now we have knight b1 to c3 and protecting the pawn on e4, which was previously being attacked by this knight on f6, and now we have a6, and now this a6 move basically kicking away this knight from this b5 square, and so this knight goes back by playing knight to a3 instead of knight to d4, and now we have d5, and this is a pawn sacrifice. And also there's a saying that which explains us to that the knights on the corner are just useless. So black takes advantage of the fact that this knight on a3 is not so good, so he goes for this d5 pawn sacrifice. So let's see how this game goes. So now we have pawn takes d5, pawn takes d5, and now we have pawn takes d5 yet again, and now we see this knight to b4, which is basically attacking the pawn on d5, and now we see this bishop to e2. Instead of protecting the d5 pawn, white goes for this bishop to e2 move, and now we have bishop to c5, and now this bishop to c5 move basically has a merit. One of the merits is that it is actually looking at this f2 square, and in case if white is not so careful about it, then he's going to be punished for his negligence. So now we have castles on the king side by white, and now castles on the king side by black as well. So now we have bishop to f3, and only after this castle happens, this bishop on f3 comes to play by protecting the d5 pawn and the square as well. So now we have bishop to f5, and now this bishop to f5 move basically stops any knight c2 moves. So now we have bishop to g5, basically attacking the knight on f6, and now we see this rook to e8, and now this rook to e8 move basically controls this one whole e file, which is not controlled by any other pieces. So that is something that black has done well at this point of time. And now we have queen to d2, basically putting much more protection to this g5 bishop, and now we have b5, and now this b5 move basically just trying to extend the range of the space over the board. So let's see how this game goes after this. So now we have rook a d1, and now we see knight to d3, a fantastic move, an excellent move you can say, because this controls a lot of squares in this opponent's area, which is something to be worried about. So let's see how this game goes after this knight to d3 move. So now we have knight a b1, and knight a b1 basically is ideas to just trying to bring this knight on b1 to the game so that he can do something useful, but black is already doing fine, and let's see how black takes advantage of this fact that this knight on b1 is not in the right position at the right time. So now we have h6, And now we see this bishop retreating back, bishop to h4, and now we have b4, and now we see knight to a4, and now we have bishop to d6. And now this bishop to d6 move, basically looking at the h2 soft spot. So now we have bishop to g3, and now only now we have rook c8, and now this rook c8 yet again controlling the c5 c file, which is not controlled at all by any other white pieces. So now we have b3, which is a bit senseless at this point of time, but well, white is in kind of a zugzwang kind of a position, so he's forced to make such moves. So now we have g5, and now this g5 move basically pretty much extending the range or the space of black's camp over the board, which is something that is done well by Garry Kasparov. And so now we have bishop takes d6, queen takes d6, and now we see this g3 move. And now this g3 idea is to put this bishop on g2 and control a lot more squares without being attacked. And now we have knight to d7, and the idea should be something like knight to e5, either of the knights coming to the e5 squares depending upon the circumstances. So let's see how this game goes after this move. So now we have bishop to g2, and now we see queen to f6, and now we have a3 attacking the pawn on b4, and now we have a5 protecting the pawn on b4. So now we have pawn takes b4, pawn takes b4, and now we have queen to c2. And now this queen to c2 move is not so good at this point of time, but well, this happens in the game, and let's see how black takes advantage of it by playing bishop to g6. And now this is all clear for black now, so white is even struggling to do something in the game. So let's see how this game ends up. So now we have g4, and now this g4 move basically taking much more space over white's area. So yeah, let's see what happens next. So now we have queen to d2, and now we have king to g7, basically protecting the undefended h6 pawn, which was being attacked by the queen on d2. And now we have f3 attacking the pawn on g4, and now we see this queen takes d6, and only now we have this pawn takes g4, which is actually not so good. And now comes a spectacular move, queen to d4, check. And now well, white's king has to move, else he's going to be losing a piece in case if rook on f2, rook on f1 comes and blocks it by playing rook to f2. And now we have king to h1, and now we see this knight to f6, bringing the other knight into the game as well. So now we have rook to f4, and now we see this knight e4, bringing another piece to the attack, and this also attacks the queen on d2. And now we have this queen takes d3, and now black starts punishing white for his mistakes by playing knight to f2 check. And now we have rook takes f2, and now we have bishop takes d3, and couple of moves coming in, queen to e3, and now we have rook takes d3, and now we have this spectacular sacrifice, queen sacrifice, rook to c1, and now we have this knight to b2, basically protecting the rook. And now we have this queen to f2 move, and after this, believe it or not, it's actually just simply losing for white, and it is gonna do no help. I mean, there is no getting up from this, because white is completely devastated of his own resources because he has not planned well. So taking advantage of this, white goes knight to d2, thinking that he's going to be doing fine. But now after rook takes d1, white has no resources against black. So goes knight takes d1, and now at this point of time we see rook to e1 check, and at this point of time you should believe that actually it's a checkmate after knight f1 or bishop f1. So if sample goes like this, knight to f1, And now we see rook takes f1 and bishop takes f1 and queen takes f1. And so I hope you like this game. I hope you like this video as well. So if you liked it, don't forget to give it a like by clicking the like button below. And also don't forget to subscribe to my channel in case if you want to check out my other videos as well. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye.